And we are hosting a Road Home New Jersey home buying webinar. And there's going to be lots of information here for you tonight. So actually, before I get started, I just want to notify you all that we are recording this, so it will be visible to the public. So if you have your camera on, your video on, and don't want to be shown, please shut it off now. And so like I was saying, in this webinar, I'll be sharing a lot of information. Our speakers will share information. I'll share those links and some PDFs and such within the chat. So if you look in my screen at the bottom is where my toolbar is, you'll see a chat function. If you're on a computer, you'll be able to see that. You can either copy those documents or links, or also know that there will be an email that'll go out tomorrow to you all who registered, and that will have all of these resources in the email as well. If you did not register for this email and someone might have just sent you the Zoom link, please chat me in that chat box your name and your email address so that I can add you to the list so you'll get the email. If by chance you have joined our webinar before in the past few weeks that we've been doing these, you won't get the email again. It only goes out once when you've joined our webinar. But if you do need it again, just give me your name and your email address and I can be sure that that's forwarded to you. But it's like an automated system. It only goes out once to you throughout this webinar series. Lastly, please keep yourselves muted during this presentation, but feel free again to use that chat box if you have any questions, and then we'll go over them through our Q&A portions throughout the webinar. If you're on the phone, same thing. If you have questions, when we get to the Q&A, you can unmute and just ask questions that you have. With that said, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, who we call the face of our agency here at NJHMFA. And this is Jesse Crawford, who is our lender outreach and marketing coordinator.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. We got a slew of information to share with you today about our down payment assistance program offered by the agency and our low interest rate mortgages. So we have a realtor on the line on the webinar who's going to speak. Jasmine is here to explain to first-time home buyers on this webinar what the responsibilities are for the realtor in guiding you through this process as a first-time home buyer. Also, we will have an attorney who's going to share some vital information, Satal. He'll be here shortly. And so it's a host of information, and we want to give you kind of a full, well-rounded view of the first-time home buying process and what resources are available. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me minimize this. So, maximizing first-time home buyer opportunities with down payment assistance through our agency, New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. A little bit about us. The New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency provides funding for affordable home ownership and housing opportunities throughout the state of New Jersey. We offer these programs through creative ways, and we have established alliances with a group of participating lenders who actually underwrite all our programs, our mortgage programs, and we call that our participating lender list or network of approved lenders. A little bit of statistics here. National Association of Realtors said that first-time home buyers make up 33% of all home buyers. And the largest share of home buyers are between 25 and the 34 age group, which accounts for 54% of all home buyers. 71% of all first-time home buyers were previously renting an apartment or a house. Now I want to talk a little bit about the roadblocks to home ownership. Now, the leading barriers why renters do not purchase homes are: one, down payment and closing costs, qualifying for a mortgage, the amount of debt they might have at that particular time. Job security is another issue. Whether or not they're even ready to settle down in one place, that could be a barrier. And if there are any realtors on the webinar today, you can attest to this: not enough homes for sale, not enough inventory. So according to this particular graph, 68% said affording a down payment was their number one barrier. Qualifying for the mortgage, 53%. 50% said debt. And as you can see in the chart, job security rounds it off at 39%. Upfront costs of purchasing a home, including down payment and closing costs, are commonly rated by all renters as the primary obstacle to home ownership. 9 in 10, 88% low-income renters said having money for down payment and closing costs was the major obstacle, or a obstacle, to home ownership for them buying a home. Middle-income renters, 72%, also indicated the same challenge. 62% of low-income and 39% of middle-income renters considered having funds as a major obstacle to home ownership. Additionally, 53% of renters cited their inability to afford down payment as the reason why they rent. That's the most frequently cited explanation. Now here's a snapshot of some other barriers and roadblocks that hinders first-time home buyers. Student loans. 56% of first-time home buyers said that was the issue that hinders them. Credit card debt, car loan, childcare expenses, healthcare, and others. I want to talk really briefly about what we offer here at the agency. We have two mortgage programs. There are foundational mortgage programs. One is called the first-time home buyer mortgage, and the other is called the homeward bound mortgage. They're both 30-year fixed government rate insured loans. We provide a competitive loan. Our interest rate currently today for the first-time home buyer is 2.75. For the homeward bound, it's 3.25, which is a little bit higher. And as I get into the presentation, I'll explain why it's higher. Our rates are determined by our agency. We dictate the rates. We give those rates to our lenders by 10 a.m. each and every business day. The first-time home buyer. Here are the requirements for the first-time home buyer mortgage. Borrower must purchase and occupy a residential home in the state of New Jersey. Now, you could be moving from New York, from Pennsylvania, Connecticut, any place else, but you have to purchase and occupy the home here in New Jersey. Borrower must qualify and meet all requirements for our first mortgage, which is originated through our participating lenders. The borrower also must be a first-time home buyer, defined as someone who has not had an ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. And lastly, on this particular slide, qualified veterans do not need to be a first-time home buyer. But the caveat here is that must not own another primary residence prior to closing or at closing. Continuing for the first-time home buyer, borrower must have a FICO score of 620 or greater, and the debt-to-income ratios are 40 and 47. It was just raised recently, this past week. It was 40 and 45. It was just raised to 47 on the back. The borrowers also, I'm fine. Good. Borrowers are required to have 2 months reserves of monthly mortgage payment and well, I'll talk about that in further detail also about the 2 months reserves. Borrower's household income must meet the first time home buyers statewide household income limits. And I'm going to show you that here. The household income includes all adults in the house or the household who are 18 and older and are not full-time students. So all adults in the household, 18 or older, who are not full-time students, their income is going to be counted to qualify for our down payment assistance and our mortgage program here. Now let me click on this link and show you this really quick. I gotta do a new share. Okay, here are statewide limits, okay? And as you can see here for Essex, Morris, Sussex, and Union, 1 to 2 adults in the household working, maximum income is $106,000. 3 or more family household, the maximum is $121,900,000, okay? And lastly, on this particular slide, borrower may not possess enough liquid assets to close the mortgage loan at 80% loan to value or less. Now, our other program is called the Homeward Bound program, and the interest rate is a bit higher. But the program requirements are basically the same with a few changes, okay? Again, must occupy the home in New Jersey, purchase and occupy in New Jersey, must qualify and meet all requirements for the mortgage, must be a first-time home buyer, as defined as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. Again, qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence at closing. And lastly, on this particular slide, what's different from the first-time home buyer mortgage, there are higher debt-to-income ratios compared to the first-time home buyer and a higher interest rate for that 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, as you can see, the top of this slide, FICO score is 620 or greater, which is the same, but the debt-to-income ratios are 40 and 50. Okay, so if you have there's a lender on the webinar or a realtor on this particular webinar, you have a client who's don't qualify because their income ratios are above 40 and 47, they can qualify for the Homeward Bound mortgage when their ratios are in between the 40 and 50, all right? Again, borrowers are required to have 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. And as with the first-time home buyer, borrower's household income must meet our program guideline limits, and I'm going to show you them here. Do a new share. And as you can see here, for Essex, Morris, Sussex, and Union, the income limit is $148,400. Okay, that's the maximum household income. Okay. And again, must not possess enough liquid assets to close the mortgage at 80% LTV. Now, really quick, I want to share with folks about urban targeted areas. And this is a great opportunity for those who are not first-time home buyers, but who want to take advantage of our programs. And this is how you can do it. Urban targeted areas are designated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Now, each county has designated urban targeted areas. Buyers located in urban targeted areas are qualified veterans, okay? Listen up. Buyers in urban targeted areas need not be first-time home buyers, but must not own a primary residence at closing, okay? So the benefits of buying in an urban targeted area is as follows. Higher income limits are permitted for qualifying for the loan. Higher housing prices are permitted. And also at the bottom of this particular page, there's a link where you can actually use what we call the site evaluator to plug in the address of the potential property you're looking to purchase to figure out whether or not it's in an urban targeted area. Let me show you the screen real quick. Now, as you can see here on this particular page, this is the site evaluator. You would plug in the address here at the top, and it will return the values, letting you know whether or not that particular property is in an urban targeted area. Over to the right, where that's from top down, I think 3 levels, 3 check marks. It'll say whether or not it's in an urban targeted area track, either yes or no. And this will allow you to determine whether or not the home that you're trying to purchase is in an urban targeted area. Also, urban targeted areas are an untapped market because buyers can purchase in these areas, and they do not need to be a first-time home buyer to use our down payment assistance program. Now, this is pivotal turning point in increasing the opportunities of home ownership in these areas. Purchasing in urban targeted areas also have the possibility of combining other down payment assistance programs, okay? And there is a link on this page here that says downpaymentresources.com. We don't manage this particular site, but if you're looking for additional funding that you can couple with our funding for down payment and closing cost resources, I highly recommend you utilize this site. And I showed you the urban targeted area income limits. Actually, no, I did not. Let me show you these. Yes, I did. Okay, that's my bad. Essex, Morris, Sussex, and Union, 148,400, 3 or more in the household, 127,200, 1 to 2 family household. So those are the urban targeted area income limits. Now, moving right along, before I leave this slide, for folks who are on the call who have not gotten a copy of their credit report in a while, you can utilize the link on this particular page, annualcreditreport.com, to get a copy of your credit report so you can start working on any issues that you might have, so you can be credit ready when you go to apply for the mortgage. This annual report is free to you from all 3 credit bureaus once a year. So if you have not viewed your credit report or had a copy of it, I recommend you download it from annualcreditreport.com. Now, this snapshot is going to give you a summary of the difference in the 2 programs, okay? Really quick, both minimum credit score 620 or higher. First-time home buyer has lower income limits. The Homeward Bound has higher income limits. First-time home buyer has lower debt-to-income ratios. Homeward Bound, higher debt-to-income ratios. They're both 30-year fixed-rate mortgages. Lower interest rate for the first-time home buyer. Slightly higher interest rate for the Homeward Bound. Again, the first-time home buyer interest rate currently today is 2.75, and the Homeward Bound interest rate is 3.25. Also, what's required for our down payment assistance program, you must receive credit counseling from a HUD-approved counseling agency. It is a major requirement for funding through our programs. Once you receive that credit counseling, you will receive a certificate. That certificate is good for 1 full year. A copy of that certificate is submitted with your closing package from your lender as a major requirement, and then you can just proceed forward from there. And also, what I didn't tell you until just now, you can utilize these funds, our down payment assistance and low interest rate mortgage, to purchase a 1 to 4 unit property as long as you occupy one of those units as your primary residence for the 5-year period, okay? So you can purchase a property and two family, live in one for 5 years, rent the other unit out, and now you got rental income. Really quick, the requirements for our down payment and mortgage program: 3 years signed federal tax returns or 3 years transcripts, 30 days of pay stubs, and 2 years W-2s are required for all household adult members when the file is submitted. 2 months bank statements are required for all borrowers. Borrowers must have 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. Now, reserves can be in personal accounts. It can be a gift from family members or friends, or provide statements of your 401k or pension, just to show that you have those funds available in case of an emergency, at least 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. Agency loan proceeds shall not in any circumstances be used to pay down or reduce any debt to qualify for the mortgage. And in some cases, borrowers can get cash back at closing if there's an excess of funds. But the max cash back is $3,000 for funds paid out of pocket, which will include earnest money deposit, appraisal fee, home inspection, pest inspection, and your home buyer's course. Some other certifications: if there's a well or septic, certification is required for that. Wood destroying pest inspection is required. As I said earlier on the previous 2 slides, HUD approved credit counseling is required for each borrower. If the seller is a business formation docs are required. If the seller is an estate, short certificate and death certificate are required. And power of attorney approval is required for buyer or seller before loan can go to closing. Finally, lenders will submit the loan file to our agency for review. And once the loan is cleared to close by the lender, initially our review at our agency could take up to 5 days, okay? It doesn't normally take that long unless there are some outstanding items. Okay, we don't typically use 5 days, but again, if there's some outstanding issues and documents that are needed and the lender has not submitted a complete full package to us, then obviously we have to go back out for those additional steps, okay? And our decision normally takes 1 to 2 business days. So if the lender sends the full package, we can clear the file within 1 to 2 days and then have you on your way towards closing. Now, lenders are encouraged to submit the file to our agency for review at least 10 days before closing to allow time for resubmission for loan conditions. Now, this is what I really want to talk about. I talk about this as our free money section of the presentation. Our down payment assistance program provides $10,000 to qualified home buyers towards down payment and closing costs. Our down payment assistance is a $10,000 forgivable loan with no payments and no interest. I'm going to say that again: $10,000 forgivable loan with no payments and no interest. The down payment assistance is a sub-program to be coupled with our first mortgage. Okay, so the major requirement here is that you live in the home for 5 years as your primary residence. And as long as you don't sell that home, refinance, or default on the mortgage, after 5 years, that $10,000 is completely forgiven. Okay? Our down payment assistance is coupled with an FHA, VA, or USDA first mortgage. We don't currently offer conventional mortgages just yet, but I'm happy to announce within the next few months, we will be offering a conventional mortgage through Fannie and Freddie, and it will be somewhere between 3 to 3.5% down, and it'll be coupled with our down payment assistance program. So that's going to be a great resource for a lot of home buyers and for realtors and for lenders out here as an additional resource to help their clients buy homes. Now, once you close on the home, and in the event that you decide that you may want to vacate the home before the 5-year requirement is met, or you decide you want to refinance, or you cease occupying the premises before that 5-year term is up, you will be required to pay the $10,000 DPA loan in full. Okay, it's not prorated over that period, 5-year period. It's all or nothing. So as long as you stay put, pay your mortgage on default, 5 years is totally forgiven. I'm also glad to announce that we also have this program available if you're looking to purchase through construction. And again, it must be the borrower's primary residence here in the state of New Jersey. We didn't always offer our DPA and mortgage here combined for new construction. It had to be an existing structure that was at least on the market for 1 full year, or was an existing structure already. But now you can utilize it for new construction. Borrowers can also use seller concessions, and Jasmine will talk about that a little bit later, but seller concessions can be combined with our down payment assistance program, so the borrower or home buyer will have greater buying power. And in some cases, down payment assistance for borrowers may not need to bring any additional funds of their own to closing. So you could conceivably purchase a home with little or no money out of your own pocket. Eligible properties, again, property must be located in the state of New Jersey. It must be a single family home, condo, townhome, a manufactured home, or mobile home on a fixed foundation. Can't be something you can just roll from one town to the next. But manufactured and mobile homes are eligible properties. And 2 to 4 family dwelling unit, as long as one unit is occupied by the borrower as his or her principal residence. I spoke about this earlier. HUD-approved counseling is available through this link. If you need to find approved counseling, credit counseling course, you just click on the link. These links are going to be provided in the chat function. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go to the HUD.gov website, but this link is available. You can find it, a HUD-approved counseling agency in your county. Most of these provide, well, since the pandemic, it's all done online, and you will receive your certificate, and that certificate, again, is good for 1 full year, okay? Some of them charge a small fee. Others do not charge a fee at all. So do your research and figure out who may not charge if you, don't want to pay for it, or if you want to pay for it and just get it out of the way, that's something you can do also. And just to wrap up, the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency is a solution for one of the leading reasons why consumers do not purchase homes. Okay, our programs are available through our agency and provide strategies to help renters and buyers who are faced with the roadblocks and the lack of resources for down payment and closing costs. Okay, our programs can be used with seller concessions, as I said earlier, and our programs can provide sellers with a greater pool of potential home buyers. When buyers utilize our programs, it does not delay the purchasing time for our lenders, and it does not delay the closing time for the file. We don't underwrite the file. For any realtors who are on this webinar, and for the potential home buyers, we don't underwrite the file at all. We just provide the funding. The lender underwrites the complete file. And if we get the file intact with all the documents that are needed for a review of compliance, we clear the file within 48 hours, and then you move towards closing. So there'll never be an instance where the file is or your closing is delayed because of us. If it's delayed, it's because of something not provided in that closing package that's sent over to us. And lastly, I want to show you something here that's vital. Click on it. Let me share my screen. This is our Road Home New Jersey guide. This is a fabulous guide that we have in hardcover and this PDF format. And this guide goes through step by step the process of purchasing a home. Okay, table of contents, the cost of home ownership, it talks about housing counseling. We go through this, how to get pre-qualified. It's a great resource for first-time home buyers to utilize, and also for realtors who want to give this information to their clients to educate them on the process. And as I flip through it, how to make an offer, what's entailed with that, obtaining a mortgage, home inspection, and how to prepare for closing. And then the great thing about this is we have a glossary of terms here in the back that goes through from A to Z terms of in the home buying process. If you have a client or if there is a potential first-time home buyer on this webinar who comes across, you know, a term that they're not familiar with, they can just flip to the back of this and read what that particular term actually means. So this is a great resource, again, for realtors and for first-time home buyers. We've already gone over the urban targeted areas. You don't need to be a first-time home buyer if you purchase in an urban targeted area, but you cannot own your primary residence at closing. So if you want to purchase a new home and you want to purchase it in an urban targeted area, you would have to sell your old home prior to closing on the new home. Now, on this particular slide here, this link here is our lender request form. When the buyers, potential home buyers, are ready to start the process, they would simply go to our lender request form and request a lender. The lender will then contact them, pre-qualify them, and get the ball rolling for them with the process to get to closing. I'm going to click on this link really quick. And this screen, if you're looking for a lender, we will pair you with one of our participating lenders. We will actually send you 3 in your area. Basically, put in your email address, your name, phone number, whether or not you need down payment and closing costs, what type of meet you would like with the lender, whether it's English, Spanish, and other vital information, and we will return to you 3 of our top lenders for you to select from to start the process. Again, this is our lender request form. It's found on our website, and when you're ready to start the process, you simply reach out to one of the lenders, either on our participating lender list, or you can come to this lender request form, and we will send the lender information to you directly. If there's someone on this webinar who is currently pre-qualified and your lender is not one of our approved lenders, and you would like to take advantage of our down payment assistance, your lender can get on our list very easily. All they have to do is contact sflenders at njhmfa.gov, and we will contact them and let them know how they can get on our approved lender list. And this helps you as the potential home buyer with additional resources to help you with your down payment and your closing costs. Okay, that wraps up my portion. Here's my contact information on the screen. I believe it will also be put in the chat function. You can email me at any time with any questions regarding the process or any, if you have, you know, whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just shoot me an email, and I promise I will return the email with an answer. Also, if you want to leave me a voicemail, that's fine also, but email is the most direct way to get in contact with me. And I think we're gonna open it up for Q&A. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Yes, Jesse, we do have 3, 4.
Okay.
If you want me to read them off, I can.
Sure, go ahead.
This one is, if I received an approved loan from my bank, can I still be eligible for down payment loan or any of your services? Their pre-approved loan was through Freedom Mortgage.
If Freedom Mortgage is one of our approved lenders, yes. If not, they would have to sign up with us, and they can contact sflenders@njhmfa.gov. Find out how they can get on the list. Doesn't take very long, takes about a week. And, you know, I often tell potential homeowners that if they need funding for down payment and your lender is not on our list, it doesn't hurt to ask them to reach out to us. And if they need the funding bad enough and the lender doesn't want to obviously join our ranks, then choosing another lender off the list. Because the money's here. And again, this is free money at the end of the day.
Right, take advantage. Second one, would I be excluded as a first-time home buyer if I am presently on the house deed, but not the mortgage?
Okay, so no, they would be considered a first-time home buyer. They're just on the deed and not on the mortgage.
Perfect.
But the caveat here, if it's a married couple and the husband's on the mortgage and they're living in the same house, there might be some conflict, some issue there that would hinder them from getting the funding. But if it's an individual, not part of a married union, I don't think there's a problem at all.
Okay. How early should someone send a request for find a lender when working towards their down payment, credit score, etc., for first-time buyers?
Well, it depends on how whether or not you're credit ready or not. If you're not, if there's some blemishes on your credit that you need to address, I recommend you start with the credit counseling agency. They can help you navigate through the credit report issues and errors or things that need to be addressed. If things need to be paid off or paid down, they can help you navigate that. But if you're ready today, you know your credit score is 620 or higher, simply just fill out the lender request form and we'll connect you with a lender who will then pre-qualify you. And then, you know, once you get your pre-qualification, you work with finding a realtor, and then that realtor will then be the ringleader to pull all parties together and get you to closing.
Perfect. Jesse, the person who asked us prior about the pre-approval with one of our approved lenders, if they were to choose another lender off our list, is that going to be a hard hit on their credit report?
Well, it depends on the amount of time. Typically, when you are applying for a mortgage with one or more lender within a short period of time, it's not a major hit. I had this discussion with someone earlier today, but if you're applying for a mortgage with 2 or 3 lenders, and then you also apply for a credit card, and you apply for installment loans and some other things, all within a short period of time, your credit is going to take a major hit. But generally, if it's a particular type of inquiry, such as for a mortgage, the hit is not that bad. It's going to take a slight hit, but nothing drastic.
Okay. I'm just going to do one more question and then we'll move to our next speaker, but everyone keep the questions coming. I just want to make sure we get all our speakers to talk, but we will get to all of the questions. So here's one more for you, Jesse. Does the HUD credit counseling have to be completed before the lender request form?
That's a great question, and you can do it before or during. It's just as long as you have that certificate before closing.
Great, thank you. Okay, so keep the questions coming. Like I said, we'll get to them in a bit. I just want to move on to our next speaker. And we have Jasmine. Jasmine, I don't know if I'm saying your last name right. Clausen-Soar. You're muted if you're trying to talk.
Yes, my name is Jasmine Clausen Swab. You can just call me Jasmine. It's easier.
Sorry, Jasmine. I should have asked you that before. And we have Jasmine as our realtor today for Remax, and she's going to go over why and how and all that about contacting a realtor and what they'll be doing for you. Thanks for coming on, Jasmine.
No, I'm more than grateful. And let's put the realtor to the side. Let's talk about human to human. What matters? Family matters. Values matters. Core matters. And what really matters is finding home sweet home. So as a real estate broker, it's extremely important to me for everyone to understand is I'm not here to sell you a home or sell you a dream. I'm truly here to help you be empowered and truly informed in the home buying process. The home buying process, it could be a little scary. It's the biggest investment that you'll make, a quarter or $500,000. It's a big decision. So as a real estate broker, it's my job to fully explain to you the home buying process, how it's going to work, and why it matters for you to use a real estate agent. As a real estate broker, it's been my experience that many different clients come to me once they have already been misinformed or not educated on the process, and then they're scared. I do want you to know that I'm here every single step of the way. So it's quite simple and why you should use a realtor. Using a realtor basically will help you during the entire process, from buying a home to home inspection, appraisal, and many different factors that includes into buying a property. I work throughout New Jersey and specialize in Union and Essex County. And I have worked with the NJHMFA product. And I think it's a great product because my clients have benefited from it and have been empowered and have felt so happy to be able to have this resource. Does anyone have any questions?
You can simply unmute yourself if you have a question.
Has anyone started to look for a home yet? But on their own that has some questions for a realtor? Anything at all? Feel free to unmute.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hi.
My name is Maisha Mohammed. So what happens if you've had evictions before?
So that's an excellent question, which we don't hear often. And thank you for speaking up and being a voice, because that's a question that I know it's hard to ask. I don't believe that may affect you as long as it's dissolved in court. I would definitely be asking the lender for that exact question. However, I wouldn't let that get in the way of the home buying process. What I do suggest for you is we can even set up like a phone conference with the mortgage lender and myself and you, and we can definitely figure out if it does hinder you on purchasing the property. They have the resources or can give you the best advice possible to make sure it can either to make sure you can plan to buy a property with or that without being on your credit report.
Thank you.
No, anytime, and trust me, many clients come to me with things like even bankruptcy, foreclosure judgments, and they're still able to purchase property. So I definitely would advise anyone to not let an eviction get in your way of purchasing a home.
Did someone else have
Hello.
a question? There you go.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? My
Good.
name's Katicia, and I did go through a lender that my girlfriend, because she went through this course and she also, told me about a lender. So I went through them. They ran my credit. They did a hard inquiry, and my credit score is good. It's over 700 up. But the only thing he's saying is because I have a car, and I still have 2 years on it and credit card bills. So it's like I can get up to $180,000 now, but it's hard to find a house for that. So it's like, what can I do to, you know?
Question. Are you, and I'm the type of agent I like to think outside the box. If we're not, if we actually, you actually can find a property or a condominium or a property in that price range, we would just have to not be in North Jersey, but it is possible. I have clients that we found properties, I'll say 30 to 45 minutes from North Jersey, and they're so happy because they were able to purchase, and even if it's not like within 10 minutes of where we are now.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
Jasmine, this is Jesse. We had that question earlier in the week also, and a realtor also suggested, they said, if you can't find a single family detached home, she said there's plenty of inventory for condos and townhomes that are available. So you might want to look there, and at least you're purchasing, and then later on down the line, you upgrade and buy a single family home. But
Okay.
there is some inventory out there. You just got to do a little work and find it.
Yeah, I've been looking on all the websites and it's just really hard. But okay, thank you so much.
and thank you for asking that question. And if you're always able to reach out to me, you can even on if you don't have not even Instagram, email, I can set you up on an automated system on properties in that price range, so they can come to you daily on what came new on the market. I would definitely tell you to not lose courage. You'll find it, and sometimes I know Zillow's a little discouraging because it's flustered with information that may not even be accurate anymore. I'm able to update you with everyday actual information. So feel free to reach out or to your current agent. We're definitely able to help.
Okay, I don't have an agent right now, but I'm just looking myself, but I will definitely reach out to you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And actually, when you choose one agent, when you're ready to hire one agent, it's actually extremely beneficial.
Okay. Thank you, because it is discouraging, I'm not gonna lie, but thank you.
No, anytime, I'm here to help.
Jasmine, we did have a question on what are your thoughts on the current home inventory in Essex County?
Okay, so I'm the type of person who I will tell you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. It's hard. Essex County, anywhere in Northern Jersey is hard. There are 30 buyers to one property, and everyone's bidding about the same amounts, and they're basing it upon terms. I would tell everyone, don't focus on that. Never focus on that. Let's focus on process, not numbers. Let's focus on that. And I say never give up. I'll be honest with you. Today, I'm so happy. An offer just got accepted for one of my clients. It's in Morristown. But you won't believe how many properties we placed offers on before this happened. 31. But now, guess what? They got their dream home. They're so happy. It's fully renovated. It's in their price range. And they said it was worth the wait because this is the home they really wanted. We actually looked at it a year ago when it wasn't renovated. It was a gut. The person who bought it fixed it and is now selling it to them. So I would say just be patient. Opportunity will always arise. Real estate isn't going anywhere. It'll be here forever. So just keep hope, keep faith, and don't give up. And keep planning, and keep working on bettering your score, saving more money, and having an aggressive buyer's agent that won't give up with you.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Hi.
Go ahead. Hello, how are you?
Hi, my name is Ashante. And I don't know where to start. I want to purchase a townhouse or a condo, but I'm not sure where to start. my credit is okay. It isn't as high as sixes. So I'm not sure where to start.
And and that's the want and the need is where to start. Exactly where you are. You're in the right place, you're in the right time, you're in a room with individuals and professionals who can definitely cater to you and help you during this process and guide you. It's okay not to know where to start. If you are looking for townhomes, condos, not tooting my horn, but I just received 24 new townhome listings on the waterfront that is affordable and will have a 5-year tax abatement. So I can definitely, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see it. It's the first post. And if that isn't what suits you, we can find something else similar or a different style or in a less price range. They're definitely out there. Where to start is just, I would say target location. Target location first. If your location equals with your pre-approval amount, great, let's start there. And then if that doesn't, so if your pre-approval amount doesn't get you in the location you want, then we start looking outside the box. So you just start by figure out location, figure out your wants, becoming pre-approved, and everyone as a team will be here to help you. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My biggest saying is an informed buyer or client is the best client. Your real estate agent, your lender, your attorney, any of us should never let you go to sleep or hang up the phone in doubt, because it can be a stressful process if you're in doubt and you're worried. We should never let you be worried. We should definitely target exactly what your concerns are and figure it out together.
Thank you so much. I definitely will reach out to you. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm here to help.
Thank you. We have a question from Carlene. Am I saying that right, Carlene?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Sure.
So I had a question. What if when you start the process of purchasing, or you get as far as getting to the lender and you are approved for up to a certain amount, you start the search process for a home and it's taking you longer than expected? What happens in that case? Let's say it runs into like a month or 2 months or 3 months. Do you, at any point in time, do you have to start the process all over again? How does that work in terms of being still qualified?
Yeah, I can address that one. So if you got a pre-qualification or a firm approval, during the process, you're looking for your home. If it expires, then you can just get them to extend that or give you a new approval. That's all. But understand, prior to closing, they're going to run your credit again to make sure everything is still intact. One of the things that your realtor during the process will tell you, now that you're pre-qualified, don't buy anything. Don't buy a boat, don't buy a car, don't buy anything, don't buy furniture, don't buy anything until you close on this house. Because that could be the difference between you closing on the house and you being denied.
So I have I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have an addendum to that. So what if your credit actually improves in that time? Will your offer get a little better or will it stay the same?
Well, for our program, our program is unique. Whether you got a 620 credit score or a 720 credit score, everybody gets the same interest rate. So the lender can't adjust anything based on credit score. Okay. You have to meet the minimum 620. So that's a win for you because nothing's going to change in terms of the interest rate. It's going to stay the same.
But in terms of how much you're approved for, that might change?
That's dependent upon your income. So if your income doesn't change, then they're not going to change the amount of house you can buy.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Good question. Jasmine or Jesse, I think this might be for either one of you.
Yeah, then we're going to have to move on.
Yeah, then we'll get to Satel. There's a question here. In this current environment, not thinking about Northern New Jersey, excuse me, how long would a process take to become a first-time home buyer? 6 months, 9 months, etc., or not in the spring, not in the summertime season? What would you say?
Well, I'm going to say really quick, from our perspective, it's the normal time it would take, whether or not you got your loan and down payment through our agency or you went to Wells Fargo. There's a number of factors determine how quickly you get to closing. That's how quickly you get your documents that are required to the lender, and sign the contract, and the attorney will talk about this thing a little bit later. So all parties working in conjunction. The biggest thing you as a home buyer, a potential home buyer, is something is asked of you, get it to them. They ask for it on the 5th, get it to them on the 3rd. Okay, so you don't hold up the process. And I think Jasmine can jump in here if she can, or Satal. He'll talk about that a little bit later.
For sure. Thanks, Jesse. Thank you. I would say it all depends. There are many different factors when it comes to a real estate transaction. And I'll just give you a few examples. One can be you. You may need your lease where you're living may not expire for another 2-3 months. That's one factor. And you may start looking at houses and then close by the time your lease ends. So that would say maybe a 60-day closing. There are many different factors, and we can go through every individual one. I would say right now, average closing is between, depending if there's tenants or not in the property, I would say anywhere between 45 to 65 days. Like I said, depending on the circumstances.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions directly for Jasmine, as I know she can't stay on for the rest of the whole webinar, but we do want to get to our attorney Satal. We want to get him speaking. Are there any more questions directly for her at this time?
Or they can type it in the chat box and we'll have them answered later.
Yes, you can definitely do that. You have our information. It's on the screen, and I also put it in the chat. Okay. Thank you, Jasmine, for coming on. I know you have a little bit more time. If you feel free to stay. If we get questions, I can always send them your way. If you could just stop sharing your screen, and then we'll move on to Satal. But thank you so much for coming on and answering all our questions.
I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity. I'm extremely grateful to be part of this movement. If there's anything I can furthermore do, I'm here to work and help.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jasmine.
Thank you. Thank you for thinking of me.
All right, so now oh, there you are. Hi, Satal, how are you?
Hey, so let me say one thing before Satal comes on.
Yeah, go ahead.
If there's any realtors who are on this particular webinar, and you'd like to be a part of these webinars, we're giving these webinars throughout the entire state, all 22 counties, up until June 17th. So if you would like to be a part of this, my email information is in the chat. Email me, and we can discuss if we can fit you in a certain county, a certain area that you might have expertise in, know the inventory. So we want to open this up to as many realtors in the state as possible, so we can get the word out, and also you can get the word out to your clients and your first-time home buyers. All right, I'm done. Satal, you take the floor.
Thanks, Jess. So I just put the link in there now for if there are any realtors or anyone else on the call that would like to speak. That link brings you to the upcoming events that we have. But let's move over to Satal Shah. He's from Shah Legal Law Firm, and he's going to talk to us today about hiring an attorney. Hi, Satal.
Hi, good evening, all. Thank you, Cynthia and Jesse and all. All right, so my name is Satal J. Shah. I'm an attorney in Edison, New Jersey. The best thing to remember whenever you sign a contract is not to be afraid, and you have a 3 business day attorney review. That means weekdays, Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, federal holidays do not count. So once you sign a contract, you talk with your attorney, you can make changes, you could change your mind, you could say, I don't want to buy it anymore. That's the opportunity to review and get suggestions and feedback from your attorney. The sellers will also do the same thing. I call attorney review period the agree to disagree period, where both sides have time with their attorney to make changes. And if both sides agree, they will sign off on the changes. If any practical advice I can give you today, he or she that completes attorney review first wins the game. That means if you are tired of looking at your dream home, you finally found it, you heard before, there's multiple offers, multiple, even 3 would be nice. It seems to be 20, 30, 40, 50 people bidding for the same houses. So let's say you found something this past Saturday, you loved it. Once you like it, you talk to your attorney, make the changes, send it to the other side, they make their changes. If both sides agree and sign off on the changes, you're done. It's your house. The longer you take to wait to sign off on the changes, and they do, you're inviting somebody else to make a higher offer and take the home away from you. So if you really like something, don't dilly-dally, move quickly, get back to your attorney, take time out of work to get it done, and you'll have a positive outcome. I always get asked, how much money should I put down in a contract? Typically, put $1,000 good faith deposit. There is no science. Sellers want you to put more down. Buyers always want to put less. So after you put $1,000, a second deposit, or it's called additional deposit, can be 2%, 5, 3, 10%, 15% down, any number in between. In the contract, you'll typically have 2 weeks to perform a home inspections once you're out of attorney review. You'll provide your attorney with a copy of the report, list of repairs that you would like the seller to address, and then the attorney will try to negotiate it on your behalf. I'll speak about home inspections in a few minutes. Typically after that, you'll have 4 weeks to get a mortgage commitment. Mortgage commitment, simple, piece of paper that says I reviewed your financials. I believe in you. I'm going to give you the money on the date of the closing. You typically have 4 weeks. Your attorney will also review title work, and they'll make sure there's no lawsuits, liens, or judgments on the property. It is not your problem to do this. It's your attorney's problem to do it correctly. It only becomes your problem if you are hiring people who are not familiar with real estate. There's a lot of details in a closing, and a lot of things have to get done. Just to give you an example, the seller's mortgage has to get paid off. Seller's water bill has to get paid off. Those are liens on the property you are buying. Those might be obvious, right? Seller's mortgage, seller's liens. What may not be obvious is, what about seller's child support? How many of you out there know that if the seller doesn't pay their child support, not only the child support is lienable, that means it stays on your home when you buy it if it's not paid off, but how many people know that the next future 12 weeks in advance is also lienable? I think so. Not only the current child support, but 12 months of future payments is also lienable, just to give you an example. Now, your attorney that works for you, I consider your attorney like a bodyguard. His job is, it's a team-oriented approach. Your attorney has to vet everybody, protect you, make sure you're not taken advantage of, and coordinates everything. Works with Jesse, Cynthia, the title company, the home inspector, the lender, the appraiser. Whoever has any questions, you'll always find out, oh, ask your attorney. That's code word for people wanting to cover themselves, and it's just easier to call the attorney to ask questions. But your attorney there, it's like a circus. He or she's the ringleader. The goal is to get to the closing table at the end of the day. Now, as we approach closing, let's make pretend tomorrow is the closing. Today afternoon, your attorney would have told you this is X amount of money you had to bring to closing. You would go to the bank, get a cashier's check, and you're done. Now, prior to closing, you do a simple inspection of the home. It's not a home inspection, but you want to make sure the house is in the same condition when you sign the contract. So when you sign the contract, air conditioning works. When you did home inspection, air conditioning works. I think yesterday and today it's hot, 80 degrees. You want to make sure the AC works. If it doesn't work, then you either figure out what the issue is, get a contractor, HVAC person to come out and look at it. They say, oh, the repair is $300. Either it gets repaired, it's hard maybe the same day not to happen, or that you can get a credit, but at least you're resolving the issue before closing. Sometimes everything doesn't fit neatly in a box. It could be that the roof is a problem or a big leak where you can't close. You have to adjourn it, investigate it, and get the right solution. There's nothing wrong with that. The most important thing is you do the walkthrough and you discover these problems before you close, because once you close, guess what? You are the new owner and you will deal with the fun of home ownership and also paying bills just like everybody else. Now, home inspections, I'm just going to touch on that. People often ask me, when you do home inspections, what can you ask for? What type of repairs? You could ask for anything you want. That doesn't mean the seller is going to do everything. The contract says a seller is obligated to do major repairs. What's a definition of major repairs? Heating, air conditioning, electrical, mold, structural, not free of structural cracks. Basement should be structurally sound. The roof should be structurally sound. Mechanical, sewer, plumbing, AC, HVAC should be working. Windows should be working. No termite issues, no radon problems, no mold or environmental. These are major. Now, these aren't definitions I created. This is what's in the contract. So your definition is not important, nor is mine. If the seller performs the major repairs, then you move forward. But what if the seller addressed certain repairs that are not major? That's considered a Christmas gift. You say, thank you. They didn't have to do it, and you don't have a legal right to cancel. People think or get offended just by when somebody says no to them on certain issues or certain repairs. It doesn't work that way. Now, you'll ask me, Mr. Shah, what if I don't like that house? What if my girlfriend doesn't like it? My husband doesn't like it. I got a bad vibe. I changed my mind. I want to move to Essex County. I didn't want to live in Cumberland County. I got to get out of the contract. Well, if you give the seller the opportunity to fix the repairs and they say no to a major repair, that's your legal excuse to get out. And then you're done and you get your deposit monies back. If you have a knee-jerk reaction, emotional, and immediately call your attorney, like some of our clients do, and say, immediately cancel the contract, I'm done. You won't get your deposit monies back because you got to remember the rule, play the game. The seller has the right to fix the problem before you cancel. Now, you don't have a right to just say, oh, this is minor repairs, they didn't do it, let me cancel. Remember, I said major repairs have to be addressed. Either they will do the repairs, provide you with a credit, or how do you know you're being treated fairly? You get an estimate from a contractor. What if the seller said, all right, I'll resolve the issue with you, the plumbing issue. I'll give you $75, stop bothering me. Your plumber says it's actually $700. You have to snake the line, whatever it is. If you show an invoice to the seller, you're able to more powerfully negotiate because people cannot argue an invoice. It's kind of black and white. It's hard to argue an invoice from a contractor. That's your way of negotiating and getting a credit. And you may want to deal with the repairs after closing. You control the situation. Okay, now I tried to save what I think the best for last. If you forgot everything I said, no problem. You can call me, email me, my brochure on my website. I know Cynthia gave them in Spanish, English, soon to come Japanese. I just made that up, but you can read those brochures later. Now, hang with me on this last point. I promise you it's worth it and it will save you money in the end. For example, anybody buying a house in New Jersey, make pretend whatever township it is, the seller has to provide an inspection to the buyer before closing. That's not a home inspection. The seller calls the township, hello, fills out a permit application, a form, and then the township performs an inspection. The township will check out carbon monoxide and smoke detectors. If it passes, the township signs off on the certificate, provides it to the seller. Certain towns have what's called a certificate of occupancy. That means the building department comes in, passes it, signs off, you're good to go. If it fails, they tell you what to fix, you fix it, they come back, check it, it's not the honor system, check it, it's fine, they sign off. The seller has to give you both inspections when you close. All towns don't have both. Some towns have just a smoke detector, some towns have only the building certificate of occupancy. Certain towns have both. How do you know? Google it, call the township, they'll tell you which one. For example, if you're in New Brunswick, it's only a smoke detector certificate. Edison Township, it's smoke and CO. Everybody follow the pattern? It's one or the other or both. Hang with me on this last point. Let's say you're buying a house today and you are very happy and you saw a finished basement and you said to yourself, I can see myself using it. It's a woman or man cave. It was the reason you signed the contract, and it is your excitement to get this home. Nothing wrong with that. Now, 50% of the population, maybe the thought occurs to them and wonders, is this basement done legitimately, legally? The other 50% of the population are so excited, it's not their profession, and it's not even in their just general knowledge to even ask that question. You figure out which group you're in. Let's assume now that you found, let's make up a township. I don't know, Jackson Township in Great Adventure near Jackson Township, right? Let's assume you saw the finished basement. Let's make pretend the Jackson Township, they only require carbon monoxide and a smoke detector certification. That's it. That means the fire department comes in, checks smoke detectors, they work, it's done. That's the only thing the town requires. Let's say your attorney says to the other side, I like the finished basement. Can you tell me if it's legal? That attorney provides a smoke detector certificate to your attorney. This is where it separates everybody in knowledge. Your attorney has two choices. Say, okay, thank you. They give you the certificate, you go on about your day, and it's done. Knowledgeable real estate attorney would know that is not enough. You have to block it. Then you would have to ask, you would have to be knowledgeable enough to ask, where are the permits? That means actual piece of paper showing the basement is legal. Now let's assume your attorney accepted the smoke detector certification, didn't have further knowledge, took it. Fast forward 3 years later, you're selling the home. The new buyer is very excited regarding the finished basement that you have and says, oh, I love this finished basement. And you say, thank you, but I didn't do it. It was there when I bought it. The buyer now asks you whether the basement's legal, and you provide and waive your smoke detector certification that you got from your closing and you hand it to them. Except this buyer goes on Google, Yahoo, everybody's much smarter now online, and calls a township and says, is the basement legal? Township says, I have nothing on file regarding the finished basement. You go back to the seller's attorney and you say, what happened? Now, the buyer's attorney goes back to your attorney and says, provide me with the permits, the proper documentation that your basement was legal. You tell your attorney, I only got the smoke detector certification. I didn't do any work. The finished basement was just like this. I didn't touch it. That defense won't work. That defense may work in third grade, but not today. You're responsible. If the new buyer says, I want permits, I want proof it's legal, it's going to be your responsibility to initiate the proper paperwork in the township, which may require plumbers, electrician, maybe architect drawings, and legal fees. It's very expensive to legitimize a basement. Every township is different. Some townships, like anybody else, are more sticklers. They may ask you to rip something out, redo something, and you'll be very upset spending thousands of dollars on a finished basement that you didn't create. How do we fix this problem? All right, now it's against my financial interest generally to tell clients this, because we make a good living fixing these problems by charging people a good amount of money. But for the seminar, we want to tell you how to avoid these type of problems. Two things. One, you go to code enforcement in any township, call them up, go online, fill out what's called an Open Records Public Act form. That's Open Records Public Act form. It's a free form. Anyone in America can fill it out. You don't have to be a seller. Once you complete the form, the township will give you whatever information they have on the property to you. That doesn't mean there'll be anything. So if there's nothing, don't be disappointed, but you want to know if there is something. Why do you do this? Let's assume that the house that you bought, you're interested in, has a finished basement, a brand new roof. You learned something today. There has to be permission for that. If the open records doesn't show permission for the hot water tank or the furnace or the roof, and they're bragging this is brand new, and then the township has no records of this, a light bulb has to go off. Then you have to say, if there's no permits, why not? You want to make sure the seller addresses this in home inspections and gets it done for you, because after the closing, it's on your watch. You want to make sure they address it. And the last thing I would do is call code enforcement the old-fashioned way. Everybody likes to text this and that. Call them. Why? I've seen mistakes where the permits are open. They were never closed out. So you call the township, ask for code enforcement, and say, are there any permits that are open? Just listen to the question and the answer to the question. That's it. If they say anything is open, oh, the electrical for the pool or the water heater, the roof, the fence, whatever. Once you know something is open, you want the seller to close it out on their watch. That's what's important. So fill out the Open Records Public Act form. And if I were you, if you sign a contract today, fill it out today or tomorrow. Why? If you get the information in 10 days, you do your home inspection within 14 days, you now are a detective. You got the information from the township, you got the information from the home inspector, and bam, we get the sellers to do what we need to do before you own the home. If anybody has any questions, you can ask us. The website is shawlegal.com. You could follow us on Instagram at shawlegal_com. Feel free to give us a call. If you call, email us. We can set up a time to speak. And if you call us, let them know you're from the seminar so we can answer your questions. I wish everybody lots of luck and happiness and good luck. Thank you for listening. Oh, and one last thing I forgot to tell the audience. We service every county in New Jersey. So even though we're located in Edison, New Jersey, whether you're buying North, Essex County, Union, we do as much work in North, Central, or South. We even travel to your closing. So don't let geography determine the success of how you're going to handle this transaction and who your attorney is going to be. Not necessarily me, but whoever your attorney is going to be ultimately, make sure you vet them, and it can be anywhere. You just want to pick a good attorney. The location doesn't, in our case, the location doesn't matter. Just want to let everybody know. Thank you.
Thank you, Satal. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
Lots of helpful information. I put the two forms that Satal was speaking of. Those are in the chat for you. I just put Jesse, Jasmine, and Satal's contact information in the chat for you if you want to jot that down or copy it. Let's open up to more questions. Does anyone have questions for Satal?
Feel free to unmute yourselves. If you want to show your face also, turn your camera on, that'd be nice. But unmute yourself and just ask your question.
While we're waiting to see if anyone else has questions, I do have some questions from earlier, which are probably mostly Jesse. So Jesse, which credit score would you be looking at? Credit Karma, etc.
The way it works is that the lender will look at the predominant three credit bureaus: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And for those who don't know how they determine what your middle score is, they take the high score of those three, the low score of those three, and they use the one that's in the middle. That's how they determine your middle credit score. So they will use those three credit bureaus. Credit Karma gives you a credit score, but it's something a little bit different from the three main credit reporting agencies. So
Great, thank you, Jesse. Satal, this one's for you. What are the average attorney's costs for the home buying process?
Sounds good. You probably find a wide range. I would say low end $1,000, high end probably 1,700-1,800 within that range. And it depends on the complexity. If it's straightforward townhouse, straightforward single family, that's one price. I can tell you that if you're buying bank owned and short sales, you want an attorney that all real estate matters aren't the same. So if you're getting a short sale or a foreclosed property, which we handle at a high level, you have to have a real estate attorney that has more experience in just doing a typical residential closing. And they're going to charge more for that expertise on bank owned and foreclosed properties. But on a typical residential purchase, I'd say $1,000 to probably $1,750 in that gamut, you'd find.
Okay, great, thank you. Satal, more are coming in for you. How many buyers is a lawyer handling? Is first time home buying a hand holding personal experience?
I'm sorry, clarify the question again. How many
buyers is a lawyer handling was one question. And then the second part of it is first-time home buying a hand-holding personal experience?
Yes, it can be. Depends on which office and which, that's a very good question, actually. I understand the question. So the question is, do you have personal touch? The answer is yes, we do. But I suspect whoever you ask that question to, everybody will say that. Nobody will ever say we have lack of personal touch. We don't want to talk to anybody. I don't think anybody will admit it. Now, to be honest with you in life, I'm not boasting in any way, but there's always in anything, doctors, lawyers, accountants, there's always busy people and not busy people. You have to determine why certain attorneys are extremely busy and certain ones may or may not be. So we ourselves, I'm not shameful. We are extremely busy and I'm very blessed and fortunate. However, if you go to avo.com, avvo.com, you can look at our 5-star reviews of 300 plus reviews. The one thing you'll find in our situation and reviews, each client says there's a common theme there of personal touch and hand-holding a client, and you'll see. And we can do that. That's not a problem. And we expect that because if you're a first-time buyer, we assume you have no knowledge. If you did, you wouldn't need our help, to be honest with you. And we have a team too. You'll deal with me on all the legal issues, but Shireen in our office and Barbara and other people in our office, they have, Barbara is 81 years old. Shireen is 49. Collectively, we have 189 years of experience. So there's questions that Barbara, Shireen can handle, which you don't need me. But on major legal issues like home inspections, Mr. Shah, I'm not able to get my mortgage on time. What can I do? You're supposed to deal with me. Hopefully that answers your question.
Great, thank you. And then the other one was, is it the buyer's responsibility to find an attorney?
I hope so. You would want to do your own homework. Like you could say that question, is it the buyer's responsibility to find a home inspector? I guess somebody can give you that. There's nothing wrong with that. Somebody gives you advice and says, oh, by the way, my attorney on this transaction was this, had a good experience, long as you have maybe some type of recommendation. But you probably would want to have a hand in it. Even if somebody refers, I think personal touch is important. You should call them yourself, hear their voice. To be honest with you, if you're dealing with real estate in a contract, 95% of the attorneys have the knowledge of basic contracts, closing, and doing it. What separates people is experience. If you do a lot of closings or you have more idea of what went wrong. So my job is to help you prevent mistakes, that common mistakes that first-time home buyers make. That's the value add that you're looking for. And you have to have a gel of personality with the person. Not everybody gets along, right? Everybody has a different personality. Some people may handhold and you feel it's not to that degree. We have clients that if we don't call them back 69 times a day, they feel like it's not handholding. In the real world, no attorney is calling you back 69 times in a day, or let alone 10 times in a day. So people have different expectations, but I think you should call and be an active part of it and speak to the lawyer and just get a sense whether you like the guy, don't like the guy. That's important to have a vibe.
Great, thank you. I don't know if this is for you and or Jesse, maybe both. Is it good to purchase foreclosure properties or properties up for auction? And how long would it take to buy a foreclosure property?
I get that question all day long. Now, the problem is everybody thinks I do a lot of foreclosure work, quite a bit. I have to tell you, there's a misconception that foreclosure means great deal automatically. It doesn't. For example, let's say you went to the most expensive mall near you, wherever you live. And let's say you like a particular, I'm making this up, let's say a suit or a dress. And let's say in the mall, they said it's 60% off and you're so excited, you buy the dress, you go home. But what you don't realize is they marked up the dress 200% before they took 60% off. That means you're overpaying for even a better home that's not foreclosed. You have to be sophisticated enough to know that it's a good deal. You have to work with a great agent that knows and will tell you you're overpaying even in a foreclosure situation and walk away. And the last bit of advice I'll give you, this just happened to me. Last week we closed. It was an 8-month closing on a foreclosure, to give you an idea.
Wow.
And the client, I actually said to the client, walk away. Don't do this, because the client, I didn't feel, can handle the repairs. If you're not handy, and you have no knowledge of sheetrock and plumbing and wiring, the money that you saved on foreclosure or short sale, you could easily blow the budget, spend much more, and get into a money pit very quickly. It happens all the time. The unfortunate part is HGTV and the shows don't tell you all the losers and the flippers who didn't make the money. That's the problem. So you really have to be aware and do your homework. Everybody goes online now, Zillow, this, that. If a foreclosure you like and they say it's 300,000, you got to look at what the neighboring property sold for in the last 6 months, then discount it because it's a foreclosure. But does that mean its dewinterization is messed up? The pipes are messed up. You have to put a brand new roof. And one trick out there, let me tell you, when you're buying foreclosure short sales, the seller, remember when I said earlier, when you buy property, the seller has to do the township inspections, either smoke certificate or CO. In a normal situation, the seller always does that for the buyer. However, the fine print in bank-owned and foreclosures and short sales, the very fine print, it's switched to the buyer. Now, let's say you close and you had no cap on the CO and you just close and the township gives you a temporary. How do you know what the township's going to require later? They can make you do $100,000 worth of repair and you have no choice. So you got to be careful.
Thank you.
The last answer to the question, they're not predictable. The foreclosures can take 2, 3, 4, 5 months to close if there's title issues and other issues. So you have to think about it. If you're getting a mortgage, you have a rate lock situation, you have to extend it. Maybe the sellers will not allow you to wait 4 or 5 months. Maybe Jesse will have to talk about the grant. I don't know how long that expires or you have to close within a certain amount of time frame. I'll leave it to Jesse to answer that.
Yeah, so you're right. For our grant, basically the home has to be move-in ready. There's a certain amount of time that you have to move into the home after closing on the home, on the loan. So it has to be move-in ready, minimum repairs to it, or your option is new construction.
Great, thank you, Jesse. I think as of now, I only have 2 more questions. So someone had a question about income limits. I just put 2 links in the chat if you want to take a look at that. Jesse had gone over those with his PowerPoint as well. Excuse me. The other question I have is, can it help me or hurt me to take out a loan from my pension to put in my bank account for funds?
Well, I think that's directed towards myself. It depends on a number of factors: how much mortgage you qualify for, whether or not you're using our down payment assistance program, and the price of the home that you're looking to purchase. As I said earlier in my presentation, you could conceivably buy with little or no money out of your own pocket. But just some quick numbers. I mean, if you're buying, say, a home for $200,000 and you're required to put down 3.5%, and we're giving you 10 grand, you already have your 3.5% plus a little money left over. You don't have to take any money out from anywhere. If you need additional down payment resources, go to downpaymentresources.com and see what's available in your area. There might be a county grant available. There might be a township or some additional state resources to help you with your closing costs. So you don't necessarily have to take money out of your pension or any other retirement fund to purchase a home.
Great.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, if anyone needs clarification or anything, feel free to unmute. I'm just gonna move on to more questions. Excuse me.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, great. That answered your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, good, sure. Jesse, how does our DPA program work with 0 interest loans?
Well, I saw that message in the chat, and I think what you have to understand, our down payment assistance program, the $10,000 is a 0 interest loan, forgivable loan. It is a lien on the property, but there's no payment for that $10,000 for 5 years because it's at 0 interest. Now the mortgage has an interest. The mortgage is not zero interest. It's just that down payment assistance of $10,000 to be used towards closing costs and your down payment is a zero interest loan.
I hope that clarifies, but please feel free to come on if you have more questions on that. Someone asked, how good is, Linda, I might need some clarification on your question. How good is to buy a property as is? Are you asking how good is the property? Linda, if you're able to unmute, just clarify what you're trying to ask there.
Yes, thank you. Do you recommend to buy a property as is?
Oh, do you
If there is any problem to buy a property as is?
Okay.
All sellers are going to say the property is as is. There's not going to be a single seller that won't say as is, I can tell you now. Every contract says as is. Your question should be, your attorney has to write when they change the contract to your attorney, you always want to say subject to buyer's inspections. That protects the buyer. So in case the seller decides not to do anything as is, you can cancel the contract in the mortgage, the inspection contingency. Your attorney would have to change that language in the attorney review when you're making changes to the contract.
Great, thank you.
And I just answered the question for
Thank
Crystal
you.
regarding fixer-upper through FHA.
Okay, great.
The question was, can a fixer-upper be bought with the assistance of this program? And as we said before, it has to be basically a move-in ready home. Minimal repairs, maybe some painting or you know, faucet or something needs to be replaced. Nothing major with these funds. There are no, it's not like it's a 2 or 3K loan or anything like that. Again, the home has to be move-in ready.
Great. Stephanie's asking, how long is the lien on the house?
So Stephanie, if you can unmute yourself and just clarify, are you talking about the down payment assistance?
Yes.
It's 5 years that you have to reside in that property as your primary residence. After 5 years, you can do whatever you want with the home. You can refinance, you can sell, you can rent it out. It's entirely up to you, but you have to stay put for 5 years.
And how is the lien discharged? Is it something you have to apply for, or is it automatic?
I'm sorry, say that again?
How's the lien discharged? Is it something that the buyer has to apply for, or is it automatically discharged?
It'll be automatically discharged.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Those are all the questions we have in the chat. Does anyone else have questions? Would you like to unmute and ask? Because we're gonna finish up now. I'm also gonna put a link in the chat. That's for our YouTube channel. That's where we'll be uploading, excuse me, this recorded webinar. So you can check that by the end of the day tomorrow.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm here for Taria. She's on, and I'm her mother. My question is, if she's the one who already was approved for her mortgage, and already looking for a house and found out about this opportunity. What I want to know, if she's looking for a house, she's pre-approved, should she be looking for a home before going through your program and going through the certifications, because the loan has a certain amount? And also when she asked, was there going to be a hit to her credit? Should she stop, apply for a loan, or should we just wait and get some counseling from someone that's on this platform tonight to assist her through? I'm in North Carolina and she's in New Jersey, so I just want to help her navigate through her first purchase.
Well, that's a great question, a number of questions. And first I want to say, if she's pre-qualified by one of our lenders already, there's no need to go to another lender to get pre-qualified again.
It was not one of your lenders. That's what we had asked in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would have to utilize one of our lenders. So how long ago did she get pre-qualified?
About 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So if she utilizes one of our lenders to get pre-qualified here, again, it won't be a major hit to her credit report at all.
Okay.
Secondly, your second question was?
My second question was, she's already working with a realtor looking for a home. Should she at this point, without securing other resources for her down payment and all the other things that you all discussed tonight, which was great, by the way, should she stop or should she continue to seek a home? And as you, the attorney mentioned, if she wants one of the homes, she should give a binder of at least $1,000 to show that she's serious. Should that process discontinue now and wait for all the other precursors to happen as you outlined tonight?
Well, if she's not pre-qualified by one of our lenders, that would be the first step, to get pre-qualified by one of the lenders on our list so she can utilize that $10,000 for her down payment and closing costs. In conjunction with that, I would have her connect with the housing counseling, credit counseling agency so she can get that credit counseling certificate that's needed to be with the requirement for the down payment assistance. And then the next step would be, once those two things are done, is she knows how much home she qualifies for, is then connecting with the realtor to find her home that she wants to purchase.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much. We'll take that order.
All right. That was all great questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, great questions. All right, well, I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. Jesse Sital, excuse me, thank you for coming on. And Jasmine, I know she has left already, but I did put all of their contact information in the chat, so take that with you. Again, everyone who had registered for this event will receive an email tomorrow. Thank you email and survey. It'll have the link that I just put in the chat as well that shows the recording on our YouTube channel, as well as a lot of the links of resources that we went over in today's webinar. If you did not register for this webinar and you just got the Zoom link, just chat me your name and email address so I can make sure you get that. But thank you everyone for coming on. I hope this was helpful, and please visit our website if you have more, if you need more information, or just contact Sital or Jesse if you have questions.
Thank you all so much for coming on and sharing this time with us. We really appreciate it, and we don't take it for granted.
Definitely. Thanks.
Thank you all. Good night.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Cynthia, Jesse. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Right.
Thank you
Take
for
care. Have a
listening.
good night, everybody.
You too. Bye.
Night, Sam.
This was a good showing.
Night, Jess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was, yeah. Definitely.
All right. Have a good
All
one.
right.
All right, guys.
We'll do this again sometime next week, all right?
Yes.
See you Tuesday.
All right, take
bye.
care. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care.